All right, that was then. Did Biden step in it now, or was that a calculated gamble on his part to distinguish between what he says are Republicans who are not the party they used to be and the severe element that he says, again, is half-fascist? Would Hillary Clinton have been better off if she had called them half deplorable? That was, again, history already done. Kaylee McGhee White of the Washington Examiner with us. The half-fascist part is a tough one to swallow, because I've always thought when people compare people to fascists, leave it for fascists. They were in a group all their own. But where do you think this goes, Kaylee?
Well, I think it's ridiculous. Number one, it shows that Biden doesn't actually know what fascism is, which isn't that surprising considering Biden can't even be relied upon to know whose hand he shook within a 2-minute time frame. But it also shows that he doesn't actually care what fascism is. That word has quite literally come to mean anything Democrats don't like. So Donald Trump is fascism, Ron DeSantis is fascism, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is fascism. They say things like this all the time, and now they're labeling half of the country that did not vote for Joe Biden in 2020 as semi-fascists. So it's insulting, and it's just a really stupid thing to say, especially when you're coming up on a contentious midterm election that your party is already standing to lose.
You know, but he might be more clever than you think, and there might be more of a strategy to this than we realize. And I might be giving the benefit of the doubt here, but the fascists, whether you're semi or not, you're fascist. That you're right. I mean, I think that's a bit of a stretch. But he's got a little bit of wind behind his back right now, right? This surprising upstate New York win for Democrats, the perception here that with the passage of this big legislation, including the Inflation Reduction measure, the big chips industry measure, whatever you want to say about it, it passed. And it's something that gives him bragging rights that say, you know, he's got the momentum now. What do you think?
I would be careful. You know, I'm kind of hesitant of being optimistic about Democrats' chances still, because the polls that I'm looking at that I think are really going to determine this November are the ones that show about 80% of the country really sour on the direction that this country is moving in. And that includes a majority of Democratic voters who feel that way. So if you have a large portion of your own party that is upset with the way that you're running this country and the way that you're handling economic issues and cultural issues, I don't see how vulnerable Democratic candidates across the board are going to survive.
Well, some of those vulnerable Democrats are the first ones who have spoken out about this college loan forgiveness plan. So maybe they're reading into the polls exactly what you say. But I'm curious what you make of that and the fact that they are concerned about how this looks to people who have paid off their loans and are angry now, and that it might not be an election winner at all, that maybe those kids who are getting the break now are going to be swamped to the polls by kids who aren't getting the break now.
Absolutely. And we know two things. Plenty of historical election data shows that young voters, no matter how much Democrats have tried to motivate them to turn out, just don't turn out in high numbers. And I have a hard time believing that this bribe is going to make that much of a difference. And second, we know that more than 6 in 10 Americans don't even have college degrees. So they're not going to benefit from this at all. So you have a majority of the country that is being asked to take on the financial burden of a minority, and yet we're going to expect the minority to suddenly, make a huge voting reversal this November. The math just doesn't add up on that.
All right. And the math tells me we've still got some months to go, so we'll see what it all sorts out. Kaylee McGhee White of the Washington Examiner, thank you very much.